The Galactic Council chamber was quiet. Representatives from 1,000 worlds sat in their seats. Their eyes were fixed on the giant screen above them. The screen showed something terrible. A dark cloud moved across the stars. It ate everything in its path. Planets, suns, entire solar systems. Nothing survived. Ambassador of the Empire stood up. His 4 arms trembled with fear. His blue scales had turned pale. He had seen many terrible things in his 300 years of life, but nothing like this. The Void Swarm has consumed 17 galaxies, he said. His voice was weak. It will reach our galaxy in 40 standard days. We have no weapon that can stop it. The chamber erupted in chaos. Species that had been enemies for centuries now screamed together in fear. They clicked their mandibles in panic. The Florians released clouds of distress spores. Even the ancient lithoids, beings of living rock, showed cracks in their stone faces. Only one group remained calm. The human delegation sat in their corner. There were only 3 of them. A woman with gray hair named Admiral, a young man with dark skin named Doctor, and a quiet soldier named Captain Cerators. They watched the chaos with steady eyes. Admiral had seen war. She had fought in the Mars Rebellion 50 years ago. She had led the defense of Europa against pirates. She had done things that still gave her nightmares, but she did not panic. Humans never panicked. They planned. The council president, a tall being made of pure energy, tried to restore order. "Please," it said, "we must remain calm. We must find a solution." "There is no solution," screamed the representative. "Our combined fleets fired everything at the swarm. Plasma bombs, antimatter missiles, even our forbidden weapons. Nothing worked. The swarm absorbs all energy. It cannot be destroyed." Doctor leaned over to Admiral. "Should we tell them?" he whispered. Admiral shook her head. "Not yet, let them finish." The debate continued for hours. Each species offered ideas. They wanted to evacuate, but there was nowhere to go. The Florians suggested hiding underground, but the swarm consumed planets whole. The lithoids proposed waiting for death with dignity. No one liked that idea. Finally, the council president turned to the human delegation. "Earth has been silent," it said. "Do you have nothing to contribute, or have you already given up hope?" Admiral stood up slowly. She was old, but her back was straight. Her eyes were sharp. "We have not given up hope," she said. "We never give up hope. That is not the human way." "Then what do you suggest?" asked Ambassador. "Your species is young. You have only been in space for 500 years. What could you possibly know that we do not?" Admiral smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret, a terrible, wonderful secret. "We have a weapon," she said. The chamber went silent. Even the energy being seemed to freeze. "Impossible," said the representative. "We have cataloged every weapon in the known universe. Humans have nothing special. Your ships are small. Your fleet is weak. You are a minor species." Captain Torres spoke for the first time. Her voice was cold and hard. "You only know what we showed you." "What does that mean?" demanded Ambassador. Doctor pulled out a small device. He pressed a button. A hologram appeared above the council floor. It showed something massive, something terrifying. It was a weapon, a cannon, but it was bigger than anything they had ever seen. It was the size of a small moon. "This is the Prometheus," said Admiral. "It is a rail cannon, the largest ever built. We constructed it in secret over the past 300 years. It is hidden in the dark space between galaxies. No one has ever seen it, until now." The council members stared at the hologram in shock. "A rail cannon," laughed the representative. "Rail guns are primitive technology. We stopped using them 1,000,000 years ago. They fire metal. Metal cannot harm the void swarm." Admiral nodded. "You are right. A normal rail cannon would be useless, but the Prometheus is not normal." She gestured to Doctor. He changed the hologram. Now it showed the inside of the weapon. complex machines, strange energy fields, things that made no sense to the alien observers. "The Prometheus does not fire metal," said Doctor. "It fires a compressed singularity. A tiny black hole, wrapped in exotic matter, accelerated to 99.9% of light speed." The chamber was completely silent. "When the projectile impacts," Doctor continued, "it releases energy equal to 10 billion supernovas. At once. In a focused beam, nothing can survive it, nothing can absorb it, not even the void swarm." Ambassador stood up again. His scales had gone from pale to white. "That is impossible. The energy required to fire such a weapon would be astronomical. You would need to harvest the power of 100 suns." "1,000 suns," corrected Admiral. "We built a sphere in secret. It feeds the Prometheus." "But why?" asked the Council President. Its energy form flickered with confusion. "Why would you build such a weapon? The galaxy has been at peace there was no threat." Admiral's smile faded, her face became serious. "Humans remember our history," she said. "On our world, peace never lasted. There was always another war, another enemy, another threat. When we reached the stars, we hoped things would be different, but we could not be certain." Captain Torres nodded. "So we prepared just in case." "You have been planning this since you joined the Council?" asked. "Since before that," said Admiral. "We started building the Prometheus the day we invented faster-than-light travel. We knew that someday something terrible would come, something that required the ultimate weapon, and we were right." The hologram changed again. Now it showed the void swarm, the dark cloud of destruction, the thing that had consumed 17 galaxies. "The Prometheus has never been fired," said Doctor. "We do not know exactly what will happen. Our calculations suggest the shot will create a chain reaction. It will tear through the swarm, destroy it completely. But there is a risk." "What risk?" asked Ambassador. Admiral took a deep breath. "The shot may damage our own galaxy. The shockwave will be massive. Some star systems near the impact point may be destroyed. We estimate casualties in the billions." The chamber erupted again. Screams of anger and fear filled the air. "You would kill billions of our people," shouted the representative. "To save trillions," said Captain Torres. Her voice was calm. "The math is simple. If we do nothing, everyone dies. If we fire the Prometheus, most people live. Some people die. That is the choice." The Council President raised its hand for silence. "This is too much. We need time to discuss, to debate, to vote." Admiral shook her head. "You have 3 days, then we fire the weapon, with or without your permission." "You cannot do that," screamed several voices at once. Admiral looked at them all. Her eyes were tired but determined. "Watch us," she said. Then she turned and walked out of the chamber. Doctor and Captain Torres followed. Behind them, the galaxy's leaders sat in stunned silence. They had thought humans were weak. They had thought humans were primitive. They had been wrong. Humans had been preparing for the end of the world since the beginning of their history. And now they would save everyone. Whether everyone wanted to be saved or not, 3 days passed like 3 years. The Galactic Council argued without stopping. They shouted, they cried, they threatened. But in the end, they could not agree on anything. Some species wanted to accept the human plan. Others wanted to stop the humans by force. A few wanted to surrender to the void swarm and hope for mercy. There would be no mercy. The void swarm had no mind. It was not evil, it was not good. It was simply hunger, pure, endless hunger. It consumed matter and energy because that was its nature. It could not be reasoned with. It could not be bribed. It could only be destroyed or avoided. And there was nowhere left to run. Admiral spent the 3 days on a human battleship called the Iron Will. It was a small ship by galactic standards, only 2 kilometers long. The flagships were 50 kilometers long. The hive ships were even bigger. But the Iron Will was fast, and it had a direct communication link to the Prometheus. Doctor worked constantly during those 3 days. He ran calculations over and over. He checked the weapon systems. He reviewed the firing sequence. Everything had to be perfect. A mistake could destroy the wrong target, or worse, do nothing at all. Captain Torres did what soldiers always did before battle. She cleaned her weapons. She wrote letters to her family. She made peace with her God. She was not afraid to die. She was afraid of failing. On the second day, Ambassador came to see Admiral. His scales had returned to their normal blue color, but his eyes showed deep worry. "I need to understand," he said. "Why do humans think like this? Why do you always prepare for the worst?" Admiral invited him to sit. She poured him a drink. It was water. Humans drank a lot of water. Other species found this strange. "Do you know the history of Earth?" she asked. "Some of it," said. "Your world had many wars, many disasters, more than most species. We have always wondered why." Admiral nodded. "Our world was hostile from the beginning. The weather changed constantly. Ice ages came and went. Volcanoes erupted. Asteroids fell from the sky. And through it all, we killed each other. War after war after war." She took a long drink of water. Her eyes looked far away, like she was seeing the past. "Most species in the galaxy evolved on peaceful worlds," she continued. "Stable climates, no predators, no competition. You had time to develop slowly, to build civilizations without fighting." "That is true," said. "The has had the same climate for 60 million years. We have not fought a war in over 100,000 years." Admiral smiled sadly. "Humans fought wars every single generation, sometimes every single decade. We never had peace for long. We learned that peace was a dream, and war was reality." "That sounds terrible," said. "It was," agreed Admiral. "But it also made us strong. It made us adaptable. It made us paranoid. We always assume the worst will happen, because it usually does." "Thought about this for a long time. So when you reached the stars and found peace, you did not believe it would last." "Exactly. We hoped we were wrong. We hoped the galaxy really was peaceful, but we planned as if it was not. We built the Prometheus because we knew that someday something would come, something that required everything we had." "And now that day has come," said. "Yes." Looked at her with new respect. "Your species has suffered greatly, yet you still fight, you still hope. I do not know if we could do the same." Admiral reached out and touched his arm. It was a human gesture of comfort. "You are about to find out," she said. On the third day, the void swarm reached the edge of the galaxy. Long-range sensors showed it clearly. A wall of darkness, thousands of light years across, moving faster than anything natural should move. The Council demanded one final meeting. Admiral agreed to attend, but she made it clear that nothing would change her mind. The chamber was less crowded than before. Many representatives had fled. They had taken their ships and run, hopping to escape the galaxy before the end. They would not succeed. The swarm would catch them eventually, but fear made people do foolish things. The Council President stood at the center of the chamber. Its energy form was dim. It had lost hope. "Admiral," it said, "the Council has failed to reach consensus. Some members support your plan, others oppose it. We cannot give you permission to fire the Prometheus." Admiral nodded. "I did not expect permission. I expected chaos. That is also the human way." "Then you will fire the weapon anyway." "Yes." A voice shouted from the crowd. It was the representative. "We will stop you. Our fleet is moving to intercept your weapon. We will destroy it before you can fire." Admiral did not look worried. "Your fleet will fail. The Prometheus is defended by automated systems. They will destroy any ship that approaches. I am sorry, but your people will die for nothing." "Then we are no better than the swarm," they shouted. "We will kill billions to save trillions. How is that different from mindless destruction?" Doctor stepped forward. He had been silent until now, but he could not stay silent anymore. "The difference is choice," he said. The swarm does not choose, it simply destroys. We choose to save lives. Even if saving lives means taking lives, it is not a clean choice. It is not a happy choice, but it is the only choice. Captain Torres added her voice. Every soldier understands this. Sometimes you must sacrifice some to save many. Sometimes you must do terrible things to prevent worse things. That is the burden of being human. The chamber fell silent. There was nothing more to say. Admiral looked at the representatives one last time. In 6 hours, the Prometheus will fire. The shot will take 12 hours to reach the swarm. When it hits, the void swarm will be destroyed. So will several star systems in the impact zone. Evacuate those systems if you can. We have already sent warnings. She paused. Her voice became softer. I know many of you hate us right now. I know you think we are monsters. Maybe we are, but we are monsters who will save your lives. Someday, when the fear has passed, you will understand. Until then, I ask only that you trust us. She turned and walked out. The council watched her go. They did not try to stop her. They knew it was pointless. The next 6 hours were chaos. Ships fled the impact zone. Families said goodbye. Prayers were spoken in 1,000 languages to 1,000 gods. The galaxy held its breath. And deep in the darkness between galaxies, the Prometheus began to wake up. Its massive systems hummed to life. Power flowed from the hidden sphere. The compressed singularity formed in the weapon's core. The targeting systems locked onto the void swarm. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Iron Will. She watched the countdown on her screen. 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. Doctor looked at her. Are you ready? He asked. She nodded. I have been ready for 50 years, ever since I learned this weapon existed. Captain Torres stood beside them. Whatever happens next, we did the right thing. Did we? Admiral asked. I honestly do not know, but it was the only thing we could do. The countdown reached 0. Admiral spoke 2 words into her communicator, 2 words that would change everything. Fire Prometheus. The Prometheus fired. No one in the galaxy saw it happen. The weapon was too far away, too hidden, too secret, but they felt it. Every living being in the galaxy felt something at that moment, a tremor in the fabric of space itself, a ripple that spread outward at the speed of light. The projectile was small, only 10 meters across, but it contained the compressed mass of a dying star, wrapped in exotic matter that should not exist, accelerated to almost the speed of light by the largest electromagnetic system ever built. It crossed the distance between galaxies in 12 hours, invisible, silent, deadly. The void swarm did not see it coming. How could it? The swarm had no eyes, no sensors, no awareness in any way that other beings understood. It was simply hunger given form. It consumed and moved and consumed again. It had destroyed 17 galaxies this way. It expected to destroy many more. The projectile hit the center of the swarm. For one instant, nothing happened. The singularity was so small. The swarm was so vast. It seemed impossible that such a tiny thing could harm such a huge thing. Then the universe broke. The compressed singularity released its energy all at once. The explosion was beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen, beyond anything physics had predicted. Doctor had calculated 10 billion supernovas. He was wrong. It was closer to 100 billion, a flash of light and heat and radiation that could be seen across the universe. The shockwave spread outward at impossible speed. It tore through the void swarm like fire through paper. The dark cloud that had consumed 17 galaxies simply vanished, not destroyed, not scattered, just gone, erased from existence by forces that had no name. But the shockwave did not stop there. It continued into the galaxy. It hit the outer star systems first, systems that had already been evacuated. Planets were vaporized. Suns went nova. Asteroid fields turned to dust. The destruction was total. Then it hit systems that had not been evacuated. Admiral watched it happen on her screen. She watched planets die. She watched civilizations end. She watched billions of lives vanish in an instant. Her hands trembled, but she did not look away. This was her responsibility, her burden. She would carry it until the day she died. Doctor was crying. Tears ran down his dark cheeks. "I made a mistake," he whispered. "The energy output was higher than I predicted. The damage is worse than I said it would be." "How much worse?" Admiral asked. 30% worse. Maybe 40. The death toll will be much higher than we expected. Captain Torres put her hand on his shoulder. "You did your best. No one could have predicted this exactly. The physics involved are beyond anything we have ever studied." "Tell that to the dead," Doctor said bitterly. The shockwave finally stopped. It had traveled deeper into the galaxy than expected. It had destroyed more than expected. But eventually, the energy dissipated. Space returned to normal. The stars that survived continued to burn. And the void swarm was gone. Completely gone. Not a trace remained. The thing that had terrorized the universe for millions of years had been erased in a single moment by a single weapon built by a single species. Humanity had saved the galaxy, and humanity had broken the galaxy. Both things were true at the same time. The council chamber was empty when Admiral returned. Most of the representatives had fled. Some had died. A few remained, sitting in the darkness, trying to understand what had happened. Ambassador was there. His scales were dark blue, almost black, the color of mourning among his people. His had survived, but many colonies had not. "It is done," he said when Admiral entered. "The swarm is destroyed. We are saved." Admiral sat down heavily. She suddenly felt very old, very tired, very alone. "Yes," she said, "we are saved." "The cost was higher than you said," continued. "The final count is not finished, but we estimate 2 trillion dead, mostly from species that could not evacuate in time." 2 trillion. The number hit Admiral like a physical blow. She had known it would be bad, but hearing the actual number was different. It made it real. "I am sorry," she said. The words felt empty, useless, but what else could she say? Looked at her for a long time. His 4 arms were folded across his chest. His expression was unreadable. "Sorry," he repeated. "You are sorry. You killed 2 trillion beings and you are sorry." "Yes." "That is not enough," said. "That will never be enough. The galaxy will remember this day forever. They will remember what humans did. They will call you heroes. They will also call you monsters. Both names will be true." Admiral nodded. "I know." "Do you regret it?" asked. Admiral thought about the question for a long time. Did she regret it? Did she wish she had done something different? Did she wish the Prometheus had never been built? "No," she finally said. "If I had to do it again, I would make the same choice, even knowing the true cost, because the alternative was worse. The alternative was everyone dead, every planet, every species, every dream and hope and memory, all of it gone forever." She looked at with tired eyes. "We saved most of the galaxy. We lost part of the galaxy. That is not a victory, but it is not a defeat either. It is survival. And survival is all we ever really fight for." Was silent for a while. Then he stood up and walked to the door. "I came here to hate you," he said. "I came here to tell you that the Empire would never forgive humanity, that we would be enemies forever, that we would make you pay for what you did." He paused at the doorway. "But I cannot hate you, because you did what we could not do. You made the hard choice. You pulled the trigger. You accepted the guilt so that others could live." He turned to look at her one last time. "That is not monstrous, Admiral. That is brave. And someday when the grief has passed, the galaxy will understand that." He left. Admiral sat alone in the empty chamber. She thought about his words. She hoped he was right. Outside, the galaxy was in chaos. The shockwave had ended, but the aftermath was just beginning. Millions of refugees needed help. Destroyed systems needed to be mapped. The dead needed to be counted and mourned. Humanity threw itself into the recovery effort. Every human ship became a rescue ship. Every human colony became a refugee camp. Every human hand reached out to help. They did not ask for thanks. They did not ask for forgiveness. They simply worked, because that was what humans did. They solved problems. They fixed things. They kept going even when everything seemed hopeless. Doctor spent months studying the blast site. He needed to understand what had happened, how the weapon had worked, why it had been more powerful than expected. What he found shocked him. The exotic matter had interacted with the void swarm in ways no one had predicted. The swarm was not just matter. It was a form of crystallized dark energy, something that had existed since the beginning of the universe. When the singularity hit it, the two forces had amplified each other. The result was the massive explosion that had torn through the galaxy. "We got lucky," he reported to Admiral. "If the reaction had been even slightly different, the explosion could have destroyed the entire galaxy. Not just part of it, all of it." Admiral stared at him. "We almost destroyed everything." "Yes, the margin of safety was much smaller than we thought. We survived by chance." "Does anyone else know this?" "No, and I think we should keep it that way. The galaxy is already afraid of us. If they knew how close we came to total destruction, that fear would turn to hatred." Admiral nodded slowly. Another secret, another burden. Humanity would carry it alone, like they always did. "Destroy your research," she ordered. "All of it, and never speak of this again." Doctor hesitated. "Admiral, the scientific knowledge." "I said destroy it. Some knowledge is too dangerous to exist. The Prometheus proved that. We cannot risk anyone trying to build something similar." Doctor looked at her with sad eyes, but he understood. He nodded and left to carry out her orders. Admiral stood alone. She looked out at the stars. So many had died, so many had been saved. The math did not balance, it never would. But humanity would keep going. They would help rebuild. They would make amends. And they would always be ready for the next threat, because the universe was dangerous. And humans had learned long ago that survival required constant vigilance. The galaxy had been shattered by a single shot, and humanity had fired that shot. For better or worse, they would live with that truth forever. 5 years passed. The galaxy slowly healed. Refugees found new homes. Destroyed systems were mourned and mapped. Life continued as life always did. But things had changed. The relationship between humanity and the other species was different now. It was complicated. Some species viewed humans as saviors. They built monuments in human honor. They named children after Admiral. They sent gifts and thanks across the stars. Other species viewed humans as destroyers. They called the event the Great Horror. They blamed humanity for the 2 trillion dead. They refused to speak to human ambassadors. They plotted revenge in secret meetings. Most species felt both things at once. They were grateful and afraid. They were thankful and resentful. They looked at humans with new eyes, eyes that saw something they had never noticed before. Humans were dangerous. Not dangerous like the who were warriors by nature. Not dangerous like the lithids who could crush smaller beings without trying. Humans were dangerous in a different way. They were dangerous because they were always thinking, always planning, always preparing for the worst. The Prometheus was just one weapon. How many others did humanity have? What other secrets were hidden in the dark spaces between stars? No one knew, and that uncertainty was terrifying. Captain Sarah Torres retired from military service 2 years after the Prometheus fired. She was tired of war, tired of death, tired of making hard choices. She bought a small farm on a quiet planet called New Dakota. It was a human colony far from the main trade routes. The sky was blue, the grass was green. The neighbors minded their own business. She found peace there. But peace did not last. One day a ship landed in her field. It was not a human ship, it was. Ambassador stepped out, followed by 2 guards. Tors met them at her door. She did not invite them inside. "Ambassador," she said, "this is a surprise. I thought you retired too." Smiled. His scales were bright blue, the color of good health. "I did, for about a year. Then they called me back. The galaxy needs experienced diplomats more than ever." "What do you want?" Dismissed his guards. They walked back to the ship. Then he turned to Tors with a serious expression. "I need your help. Something has happened, something that requires human expertise." Tors felt a cold knot form in her stomach. She knew that feeling. It was the feeling of duty calling her back to a life she had left behind. "What kind of something?" she asked. Pulled out a small device. A hologram appeared. It showed a star system. At the center was something wrong, something that should not exist. A tear in space itself, darkness pouring out of nothing. "We do not know what it is," said. "It appeared 3 months ago. At first it was small, but it has been growing. Our scientists have studied it. They cannot explain it. They cannot stop it." Tors stared at the hologram. The tear looked familiar somehow, like she had seen something similar before. Then she realized. "This is connected to the Prometheus," she said, "to the blast that destroyed the void swarm." Nodded. "That is what our scientists believe. The explosion did something to space, created a weakness, a wound that is now opening." "What is coming through?" "We do not know, but whatever it is dangerous. Several ships have approached the tier. None have returned. We have lost over 1,000 people trying to study it." Tors closed her eyes. She thought about her farm, her peace, her quiet life. She thought about all the reasons she had left the military. Then she thought about 2 trillion dead, and she knew what she had to do. "I will help," she said, "but I need to talk to Admiral first, and Doctor, this is bigger than one person can handle." Nodded. "I was hoping you would say that. A ship is waiting to take us to Earth." Admiral was now Supreme Commander of all human forces. It was a title she had not wanted, but the Council had insisted. After the Prometheus, humanity needed a single leader who could speak for the entire species. Was the obvious choice. She met with Tors and in her office on Earth. Doctor was there too, looking older and more tired than before. "I have seen the data," said. "It is worse than you described. The tier is not just growing, it is accelerating. At current rates, it will consume the entire star system in 6 months. Then it will spread further." "What is it?" Tors asked. Doctor spoke up. "I have a theory. When we fired the Prometheus, the singularity interacted with the void swarm in unexpected ways. We released massive amounts of energy, but we also did something else. We created a bridge." "A bridge to what?" Pulled up his own hologram. It showed complex equations and diagrams, things that made no sense to Tors. "The void swarm came from somewhere," explained. "It was not natural to our universe. It was from somewhere else, a different dimension, a different reality. The explosion that destroyed the swarm also weakened the barrier between our universe and that other place." Leaned forward. "You are saying we opened a door." "Not exactly opened, more like cracked. The tier is that crack widening over time, and eventually something will come through. Something like the void swarm. Possibly worse. The swarm was just hunger. Whatever lives in that other dimension might be intelligent, organized, aggressive." The room fell silent. Tors felt the weight of those words pressing down on her. "So we saved the galaxy from one threat," she said, "and created a bigger threat in the process." "Yes," said quietly. "I am sorry I did not predict this. I should have." Held up her hand. "Blame solves nothing. We need solutions. How do we close the tier?" Shook his head. "I do not know. The physics involved are beyond our understanding. We are dealing with forces that have no names, energies that have no equations." Spoke up, what about the Prometheus? Could it close the tier? No, said, we dismantled the Prometheus after the blast, the sphere too. The council demanded it. They were afraid of what we might do with such weapons. Then we must build another one, said. Laughed bitterly. That took 300 years. We do not have 300 years, we have 6 months. Tors had been quiet thinking. Now she spoke. There might be another way. Everyone looked at her. The Prometheus used a singularity to release massive energy, she said. But what if we did the opposite? What if instead of releasing energy, we absorbed it? Frowned, absorbed energy. From what? From the tier itself. The tier is growing because it is being fed. Energy is leaking from our universe into that other place. If we could reverse the flow, pull energy back instead of letting it out, maybe the tier would close. His eyes widened. He began typing rapidly on his screen. Numbers flowed across the display. He muttered to himself as he worked. It could work, he finally said. Theoretically, we would need to create a containment field around the tier, something that would prevent energy from escaping. Then we would need to actively drain the dimensional rift. Can we build that? Asked. Yes, but it would be dangerous. We would essentially be holding a dimensional bomb. If anything went wrong, the tier could expand instantly. It could swallow everything within light years. Nodded slowly. So we have 2 choices. Do nothing and let the tier grow until it consumes the galaxy, or try to close it and risk destroying the galaxy faster. Tors smiled grimly. Sounds familiar. Smiled back. Yes, it does. She stood up and looked out the window at Earth below. The blue planet hung in space, beautiful and fragile. Once again, humanity must make the hard choice, she said. Once again, we must gamble everything on a desperate plan. Once again, we must be the monsters who save the galaxy. She turned back to face the others. Begin preparations. We have 6 months to build the impossible, and this time we will succeed without destroying anything. I promise. Tors wanted to believe her. She really did. But she had learned long ago that promises meant nothing in the face of cosmic forces. All they could do was try. And humans always tried. No matter the odds, no matter the cost, that was their greatest strength and their greatest weakness. The project was called Operation Second Chance. It was humanity's attempt to fix the damage they had caused, to close the tier they had opened, to prove they were more than just destroyers. Every human ship in the galaxy participated. Every human scientist contributed. Every human colony sent supplies. It was the largest cooperative effort in human history, and it was not enough. The tier continued to grow, faster than predicted, faster than the models showed. Something on the other side was pushing, something wanted to get through. Doctor worked without sleep. He redesigned the containment field a dozen times. Each time the simulations showed failure. The energy involved was too massive, the physics too unstable. Nothing they built could hold. Tors recruited volunteers from every species. Engineers, warriors, Florian medics, lithoid laborers. The galaxy was coming together like never before. Fear of the tier had united species that had been enemies for. Admiral coordinated everything from her command ship, the New Dawn. She was 73 years old now. Her hair was completely gray. Her hands shook sometimes, but her mind was sharp. Her will was unbreakable. 3 months into the project, something changed. The tier stopped growing. For one day, it stayed exactly the same size. Scientists celebrated. They thought they had more time. Then it started shrinking. Not because of anything they had done, because something was coming through. The first contact came without warning. A shape emerged from the tier. It was huge. Bigger than any ship the galaxy had ever built. Bigger than planets. It moved slowly, deliberately, like it was testing its surroundings. Every weapon in the assembled fleet fired at once. Missiles, lasers, plasma bolts, even nuclear weapons. Nothing worked. The attacks passed through the shape like it was made of smoke. Then the shape spoke. The voice came through every communication device in the galaxy, every radio, every neural implant, every screen. It spoke in all languages at once, and it was not hostile. "Do not be afraid," the voice said. "We are not here to destroy, we are here to help." Admiral responded. Her voice was steady despite the fear in her heart. "Who are you? What do you want?" The shape moved closer. As it did, it became clearer. It was not a ship, it was not a creature, it was something else entirely, a being made of pure energy, but different from, older, more powerful, more alien. "We are the precursors," the voice said. "We created the universe you live in. We created the void swarm to test you, to see if intelligent life could survive, to see if anyone was worthy." Felt anger rise in her chest. "You created the swarm. You killed 17 galaxies, trillions of lives, for a test." The precursor was silent for a moment. When it spoke again, its voice was softer. "Yes, we understand your anger. We have watched many universes fail the test. The swarm always won. Life always died. We had given up hope." It moved closer still. Now it filled the sky above the fleet, impossible to ignore, impossible to fight. "Then you came, humans, a small species on a small world in a young galaxy. You did something no one else had ever done. You destroyed the void swarm. You passed the test." Tors was on a small ship near the front of the fleet. She listened to the exchange with growing disbelief. "If we passed the test," she said, "then why are you here? Why is there a tear in space? What is happening?" The precursor turned its attention to her. She felt its gaze like a physical weight. "The tear is our doorway. We came to reward you, to share our knowledge, to elevate your species to the next level of existence. But the doorway became unstable. Our arrival caused damage we did not intend." Doctor spoke up. His voice was excited despite the situation. "You can close the tear. You can stop the damage." "Yes, but we need help. The doorway is connected to your universe through the blast point, where the Prometheus fired. We cannot close it alone. We need someone on this side to anchor the seal." "What does that mean?" asked. "What kind of anchor?" The precursor was silent again. When it spoke, its voice was sad. "A sacrifice. Someone must enter the tear and become part of the seal. Their consciousness will merge with the dimensional barrier. They will become the lock that keeps the door closed forever." "They will die," said flatly. "No, they will not die. They will become something more, something beyond life and death, but they will never return to this universe. They will be alone, forever." The fleet was silent. No one spoke. No one moved. The weight of the request hung over them all. Then Tors stepped forward. "I will do it," she said. His voice came immediately. "No, absolutely not. I will not allow it. Admiral, I am the logical choice. I have no family, no children, nothing tying me to this universe, and I helped create this mess. Let me help fix it." "We all created this mess," said. "We all fired the Prometheus. The guilt belongs to everyone." Tors smiled. It was a sad smile, but also peaceful. "I know, but someone has to go, and I want it to be me. I am tired, Admiral, tired of war, tired of guilt, tired of surviving while others die." She looked at the precursor. "Will it hurt?" "No, you will simply change, become something new. You will watch over the universe forever. A guardian, a protector. It is an honor beyond imagining." Tors laughed softly. "I never wanted honor. I just wanted to do the right thing." She began walking toward the airlock of her ship. His voice followed her. "Tors, Sarah, please. There has to be another way." Tors paused. "Admiral, in 50 years of service you have always made the hard choices. You have always sacrificed so others could live. Let me do this one thing. Let me make the choice this time." Was crying. Tors could hear it in her voice. "I do not want to lose you." "You will not lose me. I will be here. watching, protecting for all eternity. That is not loss, that is a gift. She entered the airlock, the door closed behind her. Outside, her small ship moved toward the tier. The precursor guided her. Lights danced around her vessel, showing the way. She felt no fear, only peace. Finally, after all the battles, all the death, all the guilt, she could do something purely good, something without cost to others, something that would help everyone. The tier grew closer. It was beautiful up close. Swirling colors she had no names for, energies that made her skin tingle. She felt the other dimension calling to her, welcoming her. She thought about her life, the wars she had fought, the people she had lost, the people she had killed, the choices she had made, good and bad, right and wrong, all of it leading to this moment. "I am ready," she said. The precursor's voice was gentle. "Thank you, Sarah Tors. The universe will remember you, always." She flew into the tier. Light surrounded her, not white light, not any color she knew, something beyond color, beyond description. She felt herself changing, expanding, becoming more than human. The tier began to close, slowly at first, then faster, the dimensional barrier sealed, the doorway shut, the threat ended. But Tors was not gone, she was everywhere. She could see the entire universe at once, every star, every planet, every living being. She watched humanity celebrate. She watched the precursors share their knowledge. She watched the galaxy enter a new age of peace and discovery. And she smiled. She was not alone, she was with everyone, forever. On the new dawn, Admiral stood at the window. Tears ran down her face, but she was also smiling. Doctor stood beside her. She did it, she really did it. "Yes," said, "she always was the bravest of us." Ambassador approached. His scales were pale blue, the color of respect and mourning combined. "The precursors wish to speak with human leaders," he said. "They want to share their technology, their history, their wisdom. They say humanity has earned it." Wiped her tears, she straightened her uniform. She became the Admiral again, strong, steady, ready for whatever came next. "Tell them we are honored," she said, "and tell them we will use their gifts wisely. We have made too many mistakes already. We will not make more." Nodded. "I believe them, Admiral. I believe all of you. Humanity has proven itself, not by being perfect, but by being willing to sacrifice, willing to face the darkness, willing to do whatever it takes to protect others." He paused, then added, "That is why you are worthy, not because you are strong, because you care." Thought about his words. She thought about Tors, about the Prometheus, about everything that had led to this moment. "Humanity has always cared," she said. "Even when we were just animals on a hostile world, even when we were fighting each other over scraps of land, we always cared about something, about someone. That caring made us dangerous, made us capable of terrible things." She looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Tors was watching, protecting, caring for the entire universe. But that same caring makes us capable of wonderful things too. We built the Prometheus to destroy, and we sent Tors to save. Both came from the same place, the same drive, the same love. She turned back to end. "The galaxy will remember this day. They will remember the humans who shattered everything, and the humans who healed everything. Both stories are true, both define who we are." She smiled. For the first time in years, it was a genuine smile, a hopeful smile. "Let us go meet the precursors, and let us build a better future, together." They left the observation deck. Outside, the stars shone bright, the tier was gone, the universe was whole. And somewhere in the fabric of space itself, Sarah Tors watched over it all. She had become the guardian humanity had always needed, the sacrifice that made everything possible. She was human, she was more than human, she was eternal. And she was happy.